I just recently watched the Chainsaw Man anime, the first two episodes, and it is so fucking good. The animation is one of the best, if not the best I've seen. It boggles my mind how this show is produced by the same studio that made this. Okay, so let's take it back to December 2020. As part 2 of the 4th season of Attack on Titan aired, we see a big resurgence of MAPPA supporters. They will take any means necessary to defend MAPPA. They'll mention the lack of time they have to work on the anime, how the animators are working very hard, how the CGI is really good compared to most animes, and above all, we'll just praise the hell out of them. It's gotten to the point where it's ridiculous. Every video on Attack on Titan is now just people dick riding MAPPA. And I'm gonna give my opinion on this. Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. Season 4 Part 1 is amazing. It hooked me from the very beginning. The first episode was a bit jarring until I see some familiar faces, but later on I started to enjoy the hell out of it. At the time, I'm also a part of those who defend MAPPA. I thought the CGI is solid, and I found people complaining about it as nitpicky and unreasonable. But later on, I found out that this is because I haven't truly appreciated Wit's adaptation for what it is. Because when I watched Wit's season 1 to 3, animation and art wasn't what I was focusing on. I watched them on potato quality to keep up with all the spoilers since I was way behind at the time. It's only until season 3 part 2 when I finally watched it on the highest quality. But even then, I still haven't quite appreciated how great Wit's adaptation is. And as season 4 airs, many people start making comparison videos comparing Wit and MAPPA. Many people point out the distracting CGI and the blurry look. I watch these videos a lot, and as time goes on, I started to agree with the criticism. I started to see the shifts in art style more clearly, and only then I started to compare the visuals in Wit and MAPPA more in depth. And now, I finally realized how worse MAPPA's adaptation really is. I started to realize the stiff animation, the lack of movement, and shitty filters. Those styles bothers me more than the CG Titans, except for the Monkey Titan. You see, the problem with MAPPA goes beyond the use of CGI. Those are decent and understandable. What is not is everything. MAPPA Season 4 has nothing going for it, except the writing, which the credit goes to Isayama. It fails as an adaptation. They're just remaking the manga verbatim, without putting work to improve on it in any way, which is what we have accomplished. For comparison, Wit adaptation has amazingly drawn art, beautiful backgrounds, gorgeous cinematography, iconic soundtracks, great animation and good choreography. MAPPA on the other hand, lacks this. The drawings are always very 2D looking and lacks any sort of depth. It also frequently go off model, most notably Levi. The backgrounds and the characters also feel very disconnected. On top of that, the animation is stiff. For example, look at this scene where Pig points at Aaron. They should do something like this. Here, there's much more fluidity, more personality. The soundtrack is also very bland. They keep reusing the same war song for every occasion and dish the original soundtracks for no good reason. They also consistently find sneaky ways to replace the manga panels with much blander compositions. Here's the manga composition, and here's the anime one. And they do this very frequently. You'll be praising MAPPA for being quote-unquote manga accurate. But where were you back then when Wit does the same? Wit also make tons of manga accurate panels. In most cases, they improve on the manga, like any good adaptation should. Wit deserves way more credits than MAPPA does. Choreography in this season is also very whack, and sometimes there's questionable shot compositions to reduce costs, like this scene where Jean is beating Raina's ass. What is this cut? Why are they awkwardly focusing on his face? The animation looks very janky here. And don't even get me started on the trees.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg.
After part 1 ended, I continued reading the manga. There's so many thrilling and shocking moments, and Isayama executed everything perfectly. We don't talk about that. But everything leading up to the ending is great. So when I started watching season 4 part 2, I'm basically just doing a rewatch. And I can finally say without a doubt, MAPPA did not deliver. And they won't deliver the final part of the final season as well. The executions of scenes weren't as thrilling as it was in my read. The drawings barely improved from part 1, only the CGI improved. The only exception would be the Sakuga scenes found in later episodes, but that's not enough to judge the whole anime on. Outside of a few amazing sequences that even incorporated the original iconic soundtracks, finally, the drawings in most scenes is still kinda whack. And what I hate most in the season is the color choices. It always looks so bland and dull. Just look at how much vibrant and lively Wheat scenes looked. The lighting and shading looked gorgeous in Wheat, but in MAPPA they chose the most bland color palette, coupled with this ugly ass filter which still appears in part 2. And for those who'd argue the color choices fits the darker tone for the season, I call bullshit. Season 1 to 3 is just as dark, if not darker, but it still contains vibrant and vivid imagery in occasions. For darker and more emotional scenes, they make the color tone much warmer. Look at this scene in Season 4, where the warriors are discussing their plans. Everything is so dark, you could barely make out their figures without maximizing your brightness. Now, compare that to this scene from Season 2. As you can see, there is much bigger contrast on the highlights. Some argue that it's not realistic because the moon wouldn't really give out that much light. Who cares? Who gives a fuck about realism? This is animation. You're not limited to live action needs. There's these movies for that.
What the fuck? What the fuck is this? That is not funny.
And it just gets worse with part 2 with this ugly orange sky. What is this? Justice League?
Dostoevsky.
Seriously though, MAPPA is very much capable of making an amazing anime. Jujutsu Kaisen proves this, which segues to my next point. Okay, so stay with me with this comparison. Outside of them sharing bland and dull color palettes, MAPPA is much more similar to MCU than you'd think. Recently, MCU have been pumping out much more content than usual. They have been pumping out 3 movies per year plus their Disney Plus shows. This affects the quality of their projects as the VFX company doesn't have enough time to work on the effects. This rushed production results in bad CGI, like you see in most of the Disney Plus shows. Some of them even responded, saying Marvel is a shitty client. Replace the VFX artists with animators, and you see where I'm going with this. MAPPA is taking on multiple big projects at a time, Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen, and now they've also chose to adapt Chainsaw Man and Villain Saga Season 2 after we dropped it. Okay, so this part goes into speculation territory. I think the problem lies with their rushed schedule. The animators didn't have enough time to work on AOT, so instead it seems like they've hired a B team to make it, because MAPPA prioritizes Jujutsu Kaisen more, since it have the potential of being their big new IP, compared to Attack on Titan which already have a huge following and fanbase. Just look at Jujutsu Kaisen and see how much the show's quality differ. All the problems I have pointed out is not found here. Instead, we have drawings that looks great and consistent in every scene, fluid animation, and amazing choreography. Many scenes in the show looked gorgeous. The color palette also did not look dull. If MAPPA produced AOT with this level of quality, then it could have outshined with Adaptation. The Chainsaw Man anime have just aired recently, and yet again we see what MAPPA is truly capable of. Look at this. Look at how smooth it looks. The characters look so alive. They even animated small movements like this. Look at it. If this is AOT Season 4, you will not get this level of quality. And I kid you not, even then there's people criticizing it. Somehow. Sure, let's just ignore the fluid animations throughout this episode and focus on the CGI alone, which is also not even bad. The CGI in this episode is far better than anything AOT ever produced. And it's pretty seamless at times, because they pair it with actual 2D animations. There's multiple shots of fully 2D animated Denji tearing out the zombies, who are also animated a lot of times in the scenes. Yeah, that's 2D, not CGI. I think the thing with CGI is that it's too perfect looking. We're used to the look of 2D animation where the drawings aren't very precise and feel human, I guess, while CGI felt a bit soulless. But I think I have a solution for this. I think they could have traced or draw over the CGI. This would give it that look that we're used to and avoid it from looking too stiff. And the characters should have less detail when they are further away. With CG models, the details are always consistent, even when they're further away from us. And it's pretty clear in the shot that it's CGI because the blood stays consistent, no hint of wobble seen in 2D animation. But at the end of the day, this still fucking slaps. No way in hell these people actually think that this looks as bad as Berserk 2016. No way in fucking hell. Let's talk about criticism. People like to judge other people for criticizing stuff they like what I just did a minute ago. But what's stupid for you to do when you don't agree with someone is hit them with the make your own anime argument. This is a very stupid argument. You don't need to be good at something to criticize it. There's nothing wrong with voicing opinions on something you love, even if your opinion is wrong. Just because of the time restraints and the struggle of the animators doesn't mean we can't criticize the final product. Using that logic, you can't criticize any bad movies, since a lot of work goes into making them. And you can't criticize it unless you make movies yourself. So because of this, I came to the conclusion that the live-action adaptations of Attack on Titan are certified masterpieces. Anyway, that's all for me. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to. If you don't want to, then don't. Okay, that's it. Bye.